Come, let us explore this morning's meditation class and group practice, that we too could meditate like a Jedi. This morning's lesson is based upon the 54th passage of the meditation classic Unwaning Victory Banner, composed so many centuries ago by the great Buddhist reformer Vajra. Together let us relaxingly recite. Generosity and making offerings to the Guru, as well as any other so-called meritorious act, when performed without unwavering detachment, all become great bondage. So, Buddhism can be thought of. Well, what I'm going to do is leave this teaching text and access a visual aid. Both this text and the set of visual aids are available for free download. Let's see. Consider for a moment the entire Buddhist world, everyone who considers themselves Buddhists. Teachers, students, nuns, monks, authors, and the like. All those folks can fit under one of two headings: Proto-Buddhism or institutional Buddhism. Proto-Buddhism was simple, elegant, and efficient. It proclaimed that one could master the path in as little as 7 days. And those who implemented the teachings of Proto-Buddhism are found to be flexible, loving, rational, laid-back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. Sadly, the majority of folks are drawn to institutional Buddhism, whose characteristics apply not just to Buddhism, but to all of humanity: Buddhist and non-Buddhist, religious and irreligious, spiritual and secular. These folks are on a path that rewards being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. Perhaps that is why Sturgeon's Law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. In Proto-Buddhism, there was no ritualism, there was no invocation, there were no offerings, there were no visualizations, there was no energy work. There was no asceticism. Sit comfortably and sustainably. Notice as you breathe in, relax as you breathe out. It's remarkably simple practice. And yet, people over the years imitated the religions of those around them and imported all sorts of extraneous things, which transformed Proto-Buddhism into institutional Buddhism. Ritualism is an indulgence of our controlling tendencies. It addresses a real or imagined celestial entity or a corporeal entity and tries to coerce them through offerings and bowing and invocation and visualization. But the path that the Buddha suggested was the opposite of controlling. It was about being laid back. So The 90% will teach practices such as focus or concentration or samatha or contemplation or analysis or vipassana, reliant on the medial and dorsolateral portions of the front part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex. Doing so, you see, that part of our brain evolved to be used sporadically, intermittently, and by overworking it, by relying upon it, by over-relying upon it, not only do we exhaust the front part of our brain, but we begin presenting with symptoms of depression and trigger our amygdala, which functions as the seat of both anxiety and aggression. Perhaps that sheds light on the fact that the more we indulge our controlling tendencies, our rigid tendencies, the harder it is, the more impossible it is for us to let go. What then is the key to letting go? Well, it's about using a different part of our brain. Fortunately, neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. Consider, if you will, our spinal cord. It has a fancy nickname, the autonomic nervous system. Many ancients referred to it as our Buddha nature. Why would they do that? Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are automatically accessing the middle bit of our spinal cord that experts today refer to as our sympathetic nervous system, or perhaps I should say the core of our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to help us to notice in a very special way, to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, which is the polar opposite of the rigidity and controlling tendencies of active focus. What have we evolved to notice? Not some, but all manner of phenomena. The external, the internal, the physical, the mental, the pleasurable, the painful, the interesting, the boring, the glorious, and the grotesque. All manner of phenomena includes our abilities to perceive, our human capacity to perceive sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. This is what some people describe as mindfulness, or simply noticing mind's antics. The easiest way to practice it is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. Every time we exhale, we're wired to automatically access the end bits of that same spinal cord, which are kind of like bookends on a shelf. The fancy name for this is parasympathetic nervous system, and it has evolved to support our physical relaxation and mental release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and even less defining. The easiest way for us to practice, so I skipped a step. All complex life forms have evolved to think symbolically. Perhaps that is why in every human civilization, in every human culture, we find figures of speech. Every time we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. In 4th grade, my teacher explained that a simile is only as effective as it is relatable. We therefore have to ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, feels non-graspable to the hand? Meditation is simply relaxing into mind's fleetingly non-graspable nature, and is best practiced by silently and mentally and passively reciting the one-syllable verb ease during each exhalation. This is the key to spiritual accomplishment. Not ritual, not invocation, not visualization, not energy work, but simply noticing and relaxing vulnerably and passively and viscerally and randomly in harmony with the cycles of breath. Having completed this morning's opening lesson, we can now shift gears. It is Qui-Gon Jinn Tuesday morning. Let us meditate like a Jedi. After approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping, this is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day almost every day studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. So if I act a little weird, off-putting, it's simply because I'm neurodivergent. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, let's simply practice mindfulness and meditation. Having sat for 15 minutes, I recommend adjusting your legs every 15 minutes or so if you are prone to arthritis. The most efficient way to keep track of our first collection of 144 inhalations is to rest the first knuckle at the base of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. The easiest way to keep track of a set of 12 inhalations is by using your right thumb to touch the 3 sets of creases found on all 4 of the fingers of our right hand. We could use the tip of our left thumb to count the 3 sets of creases on each of the 4 fingers of our left hand to keep track of 12 sets of 12 inhalations each for a total of 144. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about every 5 minutes or so. Every 5 minutes or so, we can take a break from nostril breathing to correct our posture, which is done as simply as pulling our diaphragm in and down as we inhale. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. For I tend to check for questions about once every 5 minutes or so. to begin counting our second collection of 144 inhalations. We could rest the second knuckle of our right index finger upon the tip of our left index finger, palms up in our lap. Remember, the mindfulness is simply noticing the antics of mind. Pleasurable or painful, interesting or boring, glorious or grotesque. The easiest way to do that is to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. Each time our diaphragm subtly pulls in and down as we inhale. Meditation is simply relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature, or fleetingly non-graspable nature. And it can be the easiest way to facilitate it or to cooperate with the natural processes that allow that to occur is to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. Each time we feel our diaphragm relax back up into its upright posture. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.